Hey, what is going on, everybody? Boilon here, back for another video on Marvel Strike Force. In today's video, I want to do a little bit of a discussion about character farmability. Now, in this instance, I'm actually more referring to about the release of the new characters, the kind of expectation that we are going to have as far as Thunderbolts and Accursed and what happens beyond this, because some people might be noticing there's a huge lack of path to Thunderbolts orbs. We had quite a bit when it came to the Vigilantes, and now that we're in the Thunderbolts and beyond, it seems that they're nowhere to be found. There was a post on Reddit that I want to go over, and this is not throwing Pathfinder under the bus here, but he did make some statements which kind of suggests about the direction where this might be headed. And I think it's important for us to understand that so we can kind of decide whether or not we want to do it or not, aka the Intel store. So if you're ready to go, everybody, let's boil this down. Okay, so there was this Reddit post yesterday. Where are the path to blank orbs? In this case, for me, it's Thunderbolts, right? Because we had quite a few of the Vigilantes. They've gone away, and nothing's really replaced them, right? So I guess what I expected was that when the Vigilantes went away, that they would have been replaced with Thunderbolts because both teams were raid teams. We were previously getting, I think a Silver Sable and Hitmonkey were in the raid rewards for Chaos raids, the Chaotic Storm raids, and then the Daredevil orbs were in the raid objective clear, daily objective clear rewards. So we were getting 2 of those per day, roughly, and which was good, right? That was like 14 orbs a week. I mean, it was better than nothing, which seems to be what we're getting with the Thunderbolts. So, as you guys know, we're kind of knee deep in. I was going to show something else, but the passes, right? So the passes are available now, both for Hyperion, and we had Victoria Hand. I'm pretty sure we had Hyperion. We have Hyperion going on now, and Songbird, which is finishing up for Monday. PS, that is also going to be replaced with an Omega Red Phoenix Force RTA pass. But this is kind of like, it's almost like this in conjunction with the events are the new release methods, and no longer are we getting that slow drip. And maybe it's because people didn't want, or Scopely doesn't want us getting those jackpots anymore, right? Because some people were getting the jackpot drops from those, getting an early unlock or an easy unlock or more stars or what have you, right? Because I did get like 2 for Silver Sable, and I think I have like a 6-star Silver Sable, and I haven't bought anything out of the Intel store. We're gonna get to that as well. So maybe that, combined with the Cosmic War and the pass, that has been the free-to-play unlock, quote-unquote free-to-play unlock for Songbird. And then Hyperion did get the 100 shards, so we did get them unlocked that way, or it's at least you can do them if you haven't finished it. I did mention you could literally do this from day one. Then you would have got the 100 shards for Hyperion. Plus, he's got the Strike Pass going on right now, which I didn't count it out, but I'm assuming it's going to be somewhere around 40 shards or something. That's pretty typical free to play. So that would give you like a 3.5 star, which seems to be where they're headed without using the Intel. But I kind of want to direct some of the posts and the words. We're going to zoom in a touch here as far as, and it was under the controversial sorting. I had to find it from the Reddit page because people downvoted it. But Pathfinder said the Songbird shards are in the Alliance event, 25 each week. So that's 100. I'm assuming that's going to be in every week. So that's 100 over 4 weeks, plus the pass, right? And then he says the shards are in the Intel store. And then where the path orbs we have in game, but are not getting them anywhere. You now have a much more direct way to get their shards in the Intel store as opposed to the chance to get shards from those orbs, and you will continue to have the normal events for characters. Path to orbs can still be obtained via some offers, which is why they're showing in game. Now, one thing that I do want to talk about with regards to the path orbs, the funny thing is at first, I think a lot of us hated it. But what's interesting about the path orbs is that it was a slow drip, it was regular, but what it did do is it allowed you to build up orb fragments. Now, I guess I don't really have any, but it would eventually build up. If you open 20 of these orbs, it would build up to a core orb, which was significant, right? That was an extra 6 to 8 shards on average every time you open 20 of these. And then, you would still probably get some shards out of 20 of the path orbs anyways. And that was still on top of the free-to-play events that they typically had. So it was basically 100 shards that you would get from a free-to-play event, plus all of the path drips, plus the core orbs, things like that. And we're going to take a look at my vigilantes, and they're sitting pretty good, and my thunderbolts definitely are not. So I think that's a pretty big difference and a pretty big change going on here. I didn't see all the posts here. What somehow you guys don't understand is that opening orbs in a game like this is the most fun part of the game. Obviously, your greed knows blah 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 blah. Okay, no one's buying it. I don't buy the path orbs. I don't buy those offers. That's not something I do. So I guess it looks like I'm not going to be getting any. I don't know the exact amounts of intel that we have planned for the future on a weekly basis, but I can try to find out. There are definitely choices to be made about whether you want G20 or shards. And this is something that we are going to be talking about here because that is important more now than ever. Now that it's pretty much confirmed that the path orbs are dead. Something else, since you aren't able to buy it all every refresh, if you have it, okay, blah, blah, blah. I think that was it. I don't think there was any other posts necessarily, but it was really important enough to basically confirm that the path orbs are basically now dead. Now, before we jump into the Intel store, I just want to compare my characters, right? So let's go Vigilantes. And I'm curious where your guys are at. This is mine for Daredevil Modern Silver. Okay, I thought I had a 6 Silver Sable, but I guess not. So just some disclosures. I did core for all 3 characters, I'm pretty sure, because they were raid characters, and that is a high priority for me. Maybe I didn't. No, I think I did. I wasn't entirely sure if I cored Daredevil, but I did core Hitmonkey for sure, and then I did end up coring for a Silver Sable. So I may or may not have cored for Daredevil Modern. He is quite high up there. I think I definitely pulled 2 different 100 shard jackpots from the Path Orbs. One of them probably was Daredevil, and one of them was Silver Sable by the looks of the shards. So right now, I haven't bought any of these in the Intel store, and I'm at 45 out of 200 for Hitmonkey, 175 out of 200 for Silver Sable. That's a bit surprising. And then I really want to get that 6 red, actually. We'll talk about the Intel store. And then Daredevil Modern is at 36 out of 300. Now, Daredevil also had a similar event to Songbird. They had a 4-week, 25 shards a week for Daredevil Modern, but I believe he also had another free-to-play event as well. They all had passes as well. I think there was a team pass as well, which is also coming up for the Thunderbolts. There's a Thunderbolts Strike Pass that is coming up in a week and a bit, which I data mined yesterday. So there are going to be more ways to get Thunderbolt shards, but it does feel overall less than what was available for the Vigilantes. So this is my Thunderbolts, namely the 3 new, right? So Victoria Hand's at 50 out of 80. She was given 100 shards, and then there was a pass. I'm pretty sure that's what we had, and that's why I'm at 50 out of 80. I did not core for her, and core for any of these. Sorry, that's not true. I did core for Songbird. I don't think I cored for Hyperion. No, sorry, I did. Sorry, my bad. I did core for Songbird and Hyperion during the Odin event, right? I spent 20,000 cores. It was crazy. And I was like 5,500. Like I didn't even make the top 5,000, which was sad. So I did core for these 2 characters, but not for Victoria Hand. So you can see that Victoria Hand is completely free to play at 50 out of 80. And that's kind of the expectation. And that's why I said 3.5 star, I think, is the new expectation going forward. But I think when it comes to using these characters in events, typically you want like a 4 or 5 star kind of character, because that's where they're kind of going to hold up a little bit better. And that goes for probably any of the newer characters if you're using them in PvE events where they're forcing you to use these characters. Typically, to not pull your hair out to do these events, you're typically looking at a 5 yellow, 5 red that you're going to want to have. And I don't really have that yet for any of these characters. And if I hadn't cored for these, I would be sitting at more where Victoria Hand is for my Thunderbolts characters. So the next part of this is like, well, what do we do about this? And what's going on with the Accursed going forward? That is basically the assumption, right? If the Helverine probably will have some sort of free-to-play event where we'll pick up 100 shards, just like we did for Victoria Hand. And same for the other characters. They might not be very timely, and that's something that I'm kind of keeping track of as well, as I always do in my spreadsheets. I have the release date of the character, and then when the date of the free-to-play event comes, and the date of when they're going to go into the Intel store. These are some dates that I'm keeping track of, so that if this is the new thing going forward, that we can keep track of these numbers and make sure that we hold them accountable as far as the gap not being too large. But the second and most important thing to talk about is the Intel store, right? Because it seems like that's what they're wanting us to do. They want us to make that hard decision between Gear Tier 20, for those of us who are still doing Xavier, right? And then buying the characters from the Intel store, the 5 shards, right? So getting either unlocking them early, right? Because it's possible that Helverine might actually be in the Intel store next week before his free to play event. And it's kind of that decision of, do I spend my Intel on the new character slash later on also, to build more shards to get closer to 4 and 5 yellows? Because if I want 4 or 5 yellow for a character, I'm only going to be able to do it through the Intel store or splashing out a bunch of cores to buy the core orb like we did before. So those are really important considerations. And I'm probably not going to do that on the accursed team, right? Like, I'm not going to spend the intel on the accursed team, but there may be certain situations where I really need, and not want, but need these characters at 4 or 5 yellow to survive future events. That might be a possibility. Now, right now, this seems a little grim because we're not getting an insane amount of intel, but like I said earlier, most of us are putting it towards the Xavier chase, right? For which is, by the way, ending, but nonetheless, we're still collecting more Gear Tier 20 because the only places to get Gear Tier 20 is here, or obviously doing your daily chaos race to get that. So there really is not a lot of places that we can get Gear Tier 20, and it's like 95% in the Intel store. Now, what might be interesting, say in like 2 months' time, or when the average player, the average non-spender gets a lot closer to Xavier, is will there be a time where instead of buying Gear Tier 20 minis, we're entirely putting it towards character shards? And that might be why some of us are having the problems with making this differentiation. Pathfinder says it himself, right, in the post. He's like, well, you're going to have to make that hard decision of, do you want character shards or Gear Tier 20 pieces? And I think that's a very valid statement, but it's going to be a lot more of a tough pill to swallow. Basically, having things a certain way and then taking it away from us, I think, is why some people are not taking it all that well. This has been a discussion that's been had in my Discord server as well. And this is something that I wanted to raise to you guys, the YouTube community, and kind of hear what you guys think about that. Because that is, right now, because Accursed is a PvP team, I've made my thoughts quite clear on that. However, in my last video, right, I basically said that Negative Zone number 3 is going to be extremely challenging to the point where they want you to have Accursed, right? So that's going to be a whole nother can of fish or bugs or worms and blah blah whatever. Anyways, right? Like, so we're gonna we might actually still need to build these characters, because if you want to get through that, depends on what the rewards are, right? If the rewards are jank, I'm probably still not gonna build a team. I haven't gone ahead and leveled up Mordo and Juggernaut anymore. I need to wait to see what the rewards are for this stuff before I decide whether or not I'm gonna do it. But nonetheless, the character shards going into the future is something that concerns me. The next team after the Accursed team is going to be an arena team, which is going to be very, very important, right? So if you want to get those free to play, you might have to make that very important decision of Gear Tier 20 or shards for an arena team, right? Which we don't know what the kit's going to be like. We don't know how OP they're going to be or not. But seeing arena team, which is usually related to power cores, and if I want them to survive the existing meta, they probably have to be at least 5 yellow, 5 red. I am still kind of skeptical about how they're going to stand up, how a new arena team is going to stand up to the existing characters like Mephisto and Odin and everyone else. Have to wait and see about that. But nonetheless, some tough decisions to make. Now, if you want to unlock a character straight out, right, you need to do this 20 buys, right, which is going to be a total of 250,000 intel. Kind of made that assessment when they screwed up with the Accursed, and all 3 of the Accursed were here at the same time. So you would need to save 250,000 intel if you wanted to get 100 shards of a new character. That's just, unless they jump the cost, I doubt it. I hope not. Anyways, that's what the kind of the entry cost would be for a brand new character unlock purchasing through intel. So that's something to keep in mind as well, right? Should we be spending intel all the time? Maybe I should be sitting on a little bit, right? I just bought, I spent 40,000 earlier today on my last reset. Maybe I should be sitting on some of this just in case things appear out of nowhere and I really need to buy that. I don't know, just some food for thought anyways. Do you like the direction where that is? Like, I think a lot of people are maybe mixed about the path orbs, but I wanted to bring it up today anyways, and I wanted to hear what you guys think about the changes. And just kind of make you guys aware that if you do want to buy shards for these new characters, that you're going to have to do it with intel or power cores, I suppose. Those are your 2 options there to get more shards for the new characters, at least on a free-to-play nature. So that's it for now, everyone, and I'll see you guys on the next video.
And if you like this video, make sure you hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and you'll be greatly helping out the channel. Have a great day, and I'll see you guys on the next one.